This very typical assignment
requires you to produce documents that you'll be able to use when you apply for employment. It's possible, maybe likely, you already have an application letter and a resume. I would suspect most of you probably do not have a bio already, but don't worry, it's only one paragraph long. You may use any documents you already have for this assignment if they meet the criteria that I'll be going over in this presentation. But please be prepared to revise them to my specifications. These documents require you to use and develop very basic and useful technical writing skills like clarity, brevity, and user-friendly formatting. You'll be using all of these skills and a few more all semester, so let's get going on them. Starting with the letter, it's a highly conventional genre, so my criteria for it are very specific. I want a one-page letter of exactly 3 paragraphs, each paragraph accomplishing a specific purpose. Just as with every letter you write, the first paragraph sets the context by explaining why you're writing to the recipient. The second paragraph, which is the longest in the letter, persuasively presents your qualifications for the position. And the third paragraph establishes goodwill as you request a follow-up from the readers and provide the means for them to do so. The main challenges in writing an application letter are 3, the beginning, the middle, and the end. So some things you should not do as you attempt to meet those challenges include these. First, do not open with, "Hello, my name is," fill in the blank, and etc. Your name is at the end of the letter. You don't need to tell them in a sentence. Secondly, don't brag about yourself or exaggerate your accomplishments, but state them using words that appeared in the job description you're responding to. Don't write, quote, "I am the best technical writer you could possibly hire," close quote, or something rather juvenile like, "I always get A's on my writing," but instead say something objective like, "My experience in multiple writing settings," or comments by professionals on my writing ensure that I will be able to produce excellent standard genres and quickly learn new ones specific to the work of your company. Finally, don't grovel at the end of your letter. Instead of saying, "I hope this letter hasn't taken up too much of your time," state that you look forward to an interview or some other kind of response from your reader, provide some contact information, and thank them for their consideration
of your application.
Now for the resume. You've no doubt heard that a resume should be only 1 page long, but many of my students these days have enough experience, skills, volunteer work, and so on to justify a second page. But that's maximum. If you can't get all your experience on 2 pages, you're not using sufficient logical, organizational, formatting, and consolidation skills. I'll let you know how to consolidate if your draft is too long, but please do your best to keep it to 1 or 2 pages. In the last couple of years, I've started requiring students to use templates for resumes because the homegrown type look pretty plain by comparison and you want your resume to catch readers' eyes. But some templates really are terrible, so look at my comments on templates on Blackboard, and also carefully read your handbook and the additional materials on Blackboard about visual design. There are certain things you can do with your resume to really peeve me off, so to speak, and they include these: crowding your resume with too much text and too little white space, relying entirely on bullet lists, failing to catch typos and grammatical mistakes, that's a bad one, and writing bullet lists that aren't parallel.
This resume, which I pulled off the internet, is what I would call typical of homegrown, home-designed resumes and suffers from typical flaws. There's way too much text, not enough white space, and the creator has definitely committed homicide by bullets.
One reason I require that you introduce at least your first bullet list with a phrase is to break up the format and add a little white space. Another reason to introduce bullet lists with a phrase is to help you make them parallel. If you write an introductory phrase that says something like, "At XYZ Corporation performed the following tasks," you should then naturally write a list of tasks, that is, a list of nouns, like bookkeeping, data entry, web design. If you introduce the list by saying at XYZ Corporation I regularly engage in the following activities, you should then write a list of verbs such as write drafts of company policies, handle email contact with customers, and so on. Should your bullet points be non-parallel, you'll see this symbol next to the offending list. And should you dare to riddle your resume with bullets, I'll be giving you, we'll call it the Old English DBB. Now, I highly recommend these two links for a further explanation of the perils of death by bullets. Finally, the bio. It's a fairly simple assignment, but you'll have to get used to referring to yourself in the third person, he, she, and alternating pronouns with your name. It's one paragraph of 150 words, at least the draft will be, and it needs to be scrupulously organized, beginning with identification information, followed by professional information, followed by education information, followed by, and concluded with, some interesting personal, but of course not too personal, tidbit. So be sure to look at the examples on Blackboard. When you first create your documents, cut and paste all three into a consolidated document you name your last name, employment materials, V1. Save it as a word process document and email the draft to me. Be sure that you include the documents in the order I've listed and that each one starts on a new page. Use page breaks, not just the enter key, to do so, because otherwise my comments might mess up your pages. Remember that you'll submit your draft by email, and be sure to meet the deadline of 11:59 p.m. on the due dates.